man has died after he was bitten by a snake.
It's a frickin' crate.
On the early morning of September 11th, 2001, while the United States was still asleep, an immense tragedy was unfolding. At the same time, in Southeast Asia, the sun was rising gently over Myanmar. A group of scientists there took a short break from exploring the mountainous jungles, where their mission was to discover and study new species like snakes, plants, insects, and birds. Myanmar boasted a magnificent ecosystem. However, little did they know September 11th would turn out to be a significant and fateful day worldwide, marking a momentous event that would be remembered for years to come. Joseph Slowinski, the head of the expedition, reached into a bag to grab what seemed like a harmless snake. Little did he know, a more personal tragedy was about to unfold. In this video, we'll explore Joseph's dangerous encounter with his beloved creatures and his friend's frantic efforts to save his life. Joseph's journey to Myanmar in 1997 marked the beginning of a series of 10 expeditions. The allure wasn't just the breathtaking landscapes, it was the opportunity for Slowinski to pursue his passion and accomplish his life's mission. As a renowned herpetologist, specializing in the study of amphibians and reptiles, Joseph had already achieved remarkable success by the age of 38. He had authored over 40 peer-reviewed articles compiled into a book. Beyond being a scientist, Joseph was a nature enthusiast with a particular fascination for snakes. His expertise lay in the analysis of vipers, the most venomous snakes, including coral snakes, cobras, kraits, and mambas, all part of a specific snake family. The 38-year-old scientist, Joseph Slowinski, always loved cold-blooded, scaly animals, especially snakes. Unlike many people who find snakes disgusting and terrifying, Joseph saw them as beautiful and fascinating creatures. Despite being aware of their danger, he handled them with care, knowing even a small bite could be fatal. His passion for snakes began in childhood, when other kids preferred kittens. At the age of 5, he started catching frogs and small snakes. And at 15, he was bitten by a rattlesnake in Nebraska. This incident fueled his interest in venomous snakes, leading him to pursue a career as a herpetologist. Joseph didn't just confine his love for snakes to the classroom. Although he became a biology professor, he was primarily a man of action. With a lively and excited personality, he didn't want to spend his life in a lab writing papers. Instead, he embarked on scientific field research, allowing him to explore various ecosystems and observe his beloved creatures in their natural habitats. His academic career didn't hinder his hands-on approach. He continued to actively engage with snakes in the wild. When Joseph turned 38, he worked as a herpetologist at the California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco. He traveled extensively across the United States, Mexico, Peru, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Jamaica, and the Bahamas, seeking out new and fascinating snake species. However, it was in Myanmar, formerly known as Burma, where he discovered a true haven for studying reptiles. Myanmar is a Southeast Asian country with some of the most pristine natural ecosystems in the region, making it a biodiversity hotspot. From his first expedition to Myanmar in 1997, Joseph uncovered 18 new reptile species in its jungles. His dedication to research, the use of his long tongs for handling snakes, and the excitement of contributing to scientific knowledge fueled his repeated returns to the country. Setting up the latest expedition, which began in September 2001, faced numerous challenges. Joseph, who had long been planning the trip, suspected that a fellow scientist in Burma had thwarted the original funding. As a result, he had to piece together funds from various sources to kickstart his research. Despite Joseph's efforts, the expedition encountered delays due to the shortage of funds, causing it to start later than initially scheduled. The timing was unfortunate, as it coincided with Myanmar's rainy season, bringing powerful rains to the jungle. The funding issue was just the beginning. Joseph, leading a team of about 10 academics, warned them that the journey would be incredibly challenging. His prediction proved accurate. Besides the funding setback, Slowinski had to juggle conducting research with managing the academic team and over 90 porters carrying their supplies. Despite Joseph's generous payments to ensure ample provisions, supplies remained surprisingly scarce. A Burmese guide handled most issues, but he couldn't act without Joseph's approval. Another significant hurdle was the unfulfilled promises from Myanmar's government. They had guaranteed the expedition of 2 military doctors and a radio phone for safety, but none of these materialized. Nevertheless, the expedition pressed on. The team comprised Slowinski's former students, along with herpetologists, ornithologists, entomologists, and Burmese students. The inclusion of local students was part of Slowinski's initiative to train biologists in DNA systematics and museum curation, aiming to enhance conservation efforts in Myanmar. The journey began, and the scientists moved deeper into the jungle, far from cities. Joseph's warning about the weather proved true. It rained constantly, creating muddy paths that made every step tricky. Despite the challenging conditions, they aimed to climb above 10,000 feet and study various habitats daily. They captured and carefully studied fascinating animals like snakes and frogs. The expedition's photographer, also Slowinski's close friend, captured stunning pictures of these creatures. Each night, they discussed their catches, dreams, worries, and desires. Mark Moffat, a tropical biologist on the expedition, noticed that Joseph Slowinski, the leader, seemed affected by the challenges of managing the research. The day before his final encounter with a snake, Slowinski appeared to lack his usual excitement and energy. He walked slowly, his fingers trembling with every small movement. On September 11th, a day that shook the whole world, something extraordinary unfolded for a scientific research team. Nestled at the base of a misty jungle valley in the remote village, the team faced an unexpected twist at around 7 a.m. A Burmese field assistant handed a sealed bag containing a snake to Joseph Slowinski, the leader of the team. What happened next is recounted in various ways, but the consensus is that the assistant revealed being bitten by a similar snake the previous day. Despite uncertainty about the snake's species, the assistant believed it to be non-venomous, for reasons unknown. In a moment that defied his years of experience and safety precautions, Slowinski reached into the bag without a second thought. A tiny bite startled him, and as he glanced down, he saw a slender, foot-long snake that eerily resembled a harmless multi-banded crate. It was an understandable mistake by the Burmese assistant, but the consequences were severe. The snake wasn't a mimic. It was a highly venomous crate snake. The herpetologist quickly realized something was wrong, but he didn't give up hope. This wasn't the first time he had dealt with a venomous snake. He had been bitten by a cobra before, but luckily it was a dry bite without venom. There was also the incident with a spitting cobra a year ago when venom got into his eyes. Thanks to the help of local people and their traditional remedies, he didn't go blind. So, despite the current situation, Joseph stayed positive, at least outwardly. When the snake bit him, he checked for bite marks, but couldn't find any. During breakfast with his team, he kept the mood light, cracking jokes. After that, he took a nap, and when he woke up around 8 a.m., he felt a tingling in his arm. Being an expert, he knew this sensation wasn't good news. The venom from the snake contained powerful neurotoxins that first attacked motor skills. 15 minutes after noticing the tingling, 2 assistants were dispatched to the nearest town with a radio to call for help. Myanmar didn't allow satellite cell phones, and the promised radio phone from the government hadn't arrived. Joseph gathered his team and explained in detail what was going to happen to him. According to team members, every prediction he made came true. His breathing became labored, and he struggled to open his eyelids. Eventually, his head drooped, his speech slurred, and then he couldn't speak at all. He communicated by writing messages, asking the team for support and advising them on adjusting his position if he vomited. In one note, he wrote, "It could be bad." Finally, his diaphragm stopped working. Before Joseph Slowinski lost his ability to speak, he made a crucial request to his colleagues. If he were to survive, they needed to breathe for him. After 48 hours, he informed them that the neurotoxins tormenting his body might dissipate around 3 p.m. Hope was tempered by bad news when the Myanmar military demanded more information before dispatching a rescue helicopter. Despite sending 2 assistants back with the required details, heavy rains thwarted the helicopter's descent, leading to a disheartening abandonment of the rescue attempt. Undeterred, soldiers and a doctor arrived on foot, equipped with an aged respirator that proved uncooperative. In a remarkable demonstration of camaraderie, the team took turns breathing for Slowinski throughout the night, totaling 26 hours. However, on September 12th, around 12:25 p.m., Joseph Slowinski's pulse vanished. Despite 3 hours of CPR, the belatedly arriving helicopter could not alter the outcome. In accordance with his family's wishes, Slowinski's body was cremated, and his ashes were flown back to San Francisco. The timing of Slowinski's passing was doubly poignant for those around him, as news of 9/11 added another layer of sorrow. The scientific community mourned the loss of a dedicated herpetologist whose legacy lives on through his discoveries. While his enthusiasm and devotion are fondly remembered, his demise remains a significant loss. 3 new reptile species have been named in his honor. In reflection, the tragic events surrounding Slowinski's death echo a profound loss felt not only by the scientific community, but by those who knew him personally. As we remember this extraordinary individual, let us also acknowledge the fragility of life and the enduring impact of dedication to one's passion. If you enjoyed this story, consider subscribing to our channel for more inspiring narratives and updates.